All right, so welcome back to the UNNI podcast. I'm your host, Bianca McCall, and we are back in action with the Village Schools organization. We've got some board members here from the Village High School that's opening up in Las Vegas, Nevada in the fall of 2021. But the work does not begin then. The work has begun with a dream. Am I right, Tim, we've got Rachel, we've got Amy that's going to share a little bit about where this started, where this idea started, what the dream is, what the vision is for the Village High School. Then we're going to talk about how do we get our kids into an environment that's as awesome as the Village High School. But I don't want to give too much away in the introduction. I just want to say that we are here with some incredible people, some incredible professionals and educators that have created something special to bring to the Las Vegas, Nevada community and the North Las Vegas, Nevada community. And I always start off these podcasts, I have to express gratitude for even just being here today, to be able to sit and share our stories, to be able to commune with some amazing people. Wouldn't be possible without DJ Prenup at GTV Radio. Wouldn't be possible without the whole UNNI squad, which includes Frequency Jewelry. And I also want to give a shout out to an amazing, amazing platform and survivor community that we've recently created that's growing, that we're loving the momentum. It's at reachinnow.com, at reachinnow.com. So thank you to everybody who's made it possible for us to be here today. Without further ado, without another week or weeks that have gone by, let's hear from my village people. And you know what? For those of you who are watching the podcast on video, you are not, imagining this. We're all wearing the same thing. I mean, how cool is that? You ever go to work and you're like, wow, all these people are wearing the same thing as I am, or same colors. We didn't plan this. We didn't talk about it. It just happened. So it just happened. Amy, I see you on the screen first, so I'm going to pass the mic to you. Amy, will you share a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what's your role at the Village?
Sure. I am Dr. Amy Cook, and I am a lifelong learner, an educator. I've been an educator for the past, 20 years. Started my career in Hawaii, where I'm born and raised, and moved to Vegas about 7 years ago, and joined Tim and Rachel, and because we shared the same vision, wanting to open up a school that supported students in providing a safe place, and helping them thrive and be who they are and who they can be, and just supporting them. So that is why I am here.
Awesome, Amy. Welcome to the UNNI podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Rachel. Rachel, will you please tell the UNNI audience a little bit about yourself and what's your role with the Village?
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rachel Kaplan. I, too, am a lifelong educator of 20 years. I started my career in Michigan. I was there for roughly 6 years. Moved out to Las Vegas 15 years ago, and bada boom, bada bing, here we are today. I'm also a wife and a mother to two teenage boys that eat me out of house and home on a weekly basis. And so I'm involved with the Village, again, to offer those students that maybe don't fit into that traditional school setting an opportunity to thrive and an opportunity to grow.
Very cool, very cool. And I laugh so hard. I've got two teenage boys at home, and I laugh because that's like a hungry laugh. There's no food, So gotta love them, though. Gotta love them. All right, last but not least, Tim. Tim, welcome to the UNNI podcast. Please share with us a little bit about yourself and what is your role with the Village?
Sure. I'm Tim Winterfeld. I have been involved with these wonderful people here for the last couple years, but I've known them for about 7 years now already, amazingly. And we kind of came together, and actually it was Rachel and Amy that came to me and said, hey, we've got this idea. You want to join? And I was like, I'm all in. This sounds amazing. You want to start a school, and you want to target some of the students that we see that are struggling in school, that are having difficult time, that are dropping out, that are going to homeschool and then finding out that doesn't work at all for them. So we kind of came together with that vision of where we would build that school and how we would make that come about. I'm a lifelong educator, and so I've got 45 years plus in education, and I taught in Washington State, retired out of Washington State, and then got involved in teaching overseas. And I've um, taught and administered in China,
Mm-hmm.
in South Korea, and Saudi Arabia, and then came back and did 6 more years at a charter school here, which is where we kind of met and started working together. Um, and so we know a little bit about, they know a lot more than I do about the Nevada school systems,
Mm-hmm.
about the charter school systems. And we saw an opportunity to really provide something special for high school students. And so that's kind of how it came about and why we're here.
Awesome, awesome. So, will you help clarify for me and for the listeners? So, the Village Schools organization is that something that existed prior to this idea to bring the Village High School to North Las Vegas, Nevada?
So no, it didn't.
Okay.
Okay, it did not. And so we kind of had the vision for the school, and we said, okay, so the kind of school that we want to build is going to take additional funding,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to take more than many charter schools now receive. And so we said we want to have additional services at the school. We want to have extremely vetted and high caliber staff, and we want to compensate them well. And so, in order to make that a reality, as well as the environment, the space that we want to put together, in order to make that a reality, we said, how are we going to do that? Well, we need to have some way of getting some additional funding. And so, what we came up with, and a lot of other places have done something similar, is to start our own organization. And that organization is a nonprofit. And so, we're looking, and the Village Schools organization, we're looking to partner with community members, partner with other groups, and also to garner additional funds to help support the mission and the vision that we have. So it's
Awesome,
kind
awesome. Thank you, Tim. So when we're talking about vision, and Tim, you explained how Rachel and Amy got together and kind of came to you with this idea. So I'm gonna ask. We'll go back to Amy. Amy, what was that moment, or what led to that moment where you said, "Hey, I think we could do this. We could open up a school," which is pretty ambitious, I might add.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Rachel and I, we've been colleagues for a while at a charter school we used to work for, and we kind of just had this idea, like, hey, let's just attend this this meeting about opening up a charter school.
Mhm.
And so we kind of signed up for that. We attended this meeting, and we kind of looked at each other, and we said, I think we can do this. I mean, besides turning in an application, I think we can actually do this. And so that kind of started it all. And we, from then, we kind of just picked our, like people who we could trust and who would be on board with us. And so we picked up Tim for that and his expertise and his passion for education. So at that point, we took it from there. It's 2 years in the making, but our mission and our vision has not changed since Rachel and I first looked at why we wanted to bring a school like this to the students of Nevada.
Wow, so 2 years that you've been working on this, Rachel. We're talking about before the pandemic, before the novel coronavirus pandemic, right? And so this question posed to Rachel: what was going on that you saw in our school districts or in our charter school systems that what was the problem that you guys were trying to fix? When you came together with Amy and decided to open up this school.
So for us, for our vision, it's not only to offer students a diploma, but also knowledge, the social emotional skills and confidence to be contributing members of a diverse world. It's not only about the school, so to speak, right? And getting your diploma and going to college and we have more of a job focus also, so you don't have to necessarily get your diploma and go to college. That's fine. You can, that's fine too, right? But we have more of a focus for getting your diploma and then being able to be employed into the workforce directly, right? Right away, with your certifications, with the things that you need already to be able to be employable, and to get those types of jobs and things like that. So that was one thing, is just giving more opportunity to more kids. And with that, I'd mentioned social emotional skills. That's another huge piece for us, is that social emotional piece, and providing that strong culture and that safe space for students. Is really what it's all about.
And so with you saying that your focus is on social emotional learning, which I love, by the way, and creating that safe space, and then also educating and training, towards certification and actual work skills or real life skills, right? This is, and again, before the coronavirus pandemic, that these are areas that we're seeing that are missing in our school districts, and not just talking about Nevada, not just talking about Clark County, but talking about across the nation. Here's where we're falling short, in terms of our educational systems and with regards to nurturing our kids, our youth development. So kudos to you for targeting those areas. Now let's talk about, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and then we've got pandemic after pandemic, right? We've got civil unrest, we've got social injustice, and we've also got this brewing mental health pandemic that we've yet to see the worst of. So with all of that in mind, how has that forced you to kind of adjust and not change, but maybe tweak the vision for the Village High School? And I'm going to toss that up. I'm a retired basketball player, so I'm going to do like kind of a jump ball and see who tips and takes that possession of that one.
Well, Tim's the tallest, so.
Tim the tallest. What do you think about that? How has the pandemic impacted or influenced your vision for the Village High School?
Yeah, and we've had to think that through quite a bit, and to kind of talk about that a lot, because our first vision was to have 100% in-person school, and we still want to have an in-person school. I mean, that's really the goal, is to have that, and we'll be opening fall of 2022. So we think by that time that's going to be a possibility. But at the same time, we also recognize that some students, working at home, or at least part-time working at home and using a computer, maybe it's transportation issues, maybe it's family issues, it could be other things, that's going to meet their needs better. And so we're talking about how we can have both those scenarios. So we're looking at a hybrid model where students can come to school maybe 1 day a week, 2 days a week, something like that, and then spend part of their time at home, part of their time out in the community, working and doing some other things. But we also know that there are students out there that need very much a safe space, and they need to be able to go to a place, and we're going to provide that also. The other part of that is part of our vision is that every student will have a mentor, and we pair it up with a mentor. And so a lot of schools try to do something like this, and it's a little bit superficial in a lot of ways. But our plan is to really have those students connected with that particular mentor, with the person that they're working with. And we're going to do that in a variety of ways. One way is we're going to make the numbers really small. So when, if a teacher's got 35, 40 kids that they're supposed to be mentoring or helping, it's like you get lost. So we're going to structure that so that the numbers are smaller. hopefully around 20, 25 students. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to provide weekly times for one-on-one for those students so that they've got a time that they can count on. And not that they can't come other times too, but at least they can always count on, I'm going to have some time one-on-one with a mentor that's going to help me, and not just on, so many schools just focus on your schoolwork. Tell me about your schoolwork. What do you got done? What don't you have done? Okay, how are you going to get this finished? But we want to look at the whole child and the whole student, I should say, I guess, because these are close to adults here as we're looking at high school students. But we want to look at the whole child, the whole student, and we want to be able to give them whatever they need. So as Rachel was saying, social, emotional, if they need something else, we want to provide that. We want to help them work through any kind of issues that they're having, because those issues get in the way of education. And so often with students, those things are the thing they're thinking about, and we're wondering, well, why aren't they with me in class? Why are they look like they're in a daze, or they look like they're just not here, or they didn't show up today on time, or whatever. That's because they've got other things going on in their life, and we need to help them and help them deal with those things and help them move forward. So that's kind of a little quick nutshell. I hope that covers that.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna model you, Tim. Here, I'm gonna unbutton my top button of the polo because I'm about to get real comfortable and start asking some real personal questions. All right. Aloha, Amy. And the last time that we talked, we agreed. You said it was okay if I referred to you as Doc, because my favorite trilogy,
Yes.
the Back to the Future. So I'm McFlyer, and this is Doc. Amy. Okay.
McFlyer.
So McFlyer. I don't know if you guys remember this commercial. There was a commercial a few years ago, and it was I don't know. I forgot. But is even better. Even better, okay, than the first time that we talked. Amy, I remember you got online and you blew us away right away with your personal story of why you're doing this. And that's why I had to unbutton, the top button of my polo, because I want to shift the conversation, and I really want to give the audience a chance to learn a little bit about you all and why you're doing this. What are your personal motivations? What's your intentions really with opening up a school? Because these are ambitious goals, to be able to impact a community like North Las Vegas in the way that you're hoping and that you're gearing to do. That's going to take, I think some personal motivation, right? Something that's driving, you guys to continue to do this, because 2 years going to meetings, applications, all this and that, that's machine work. Anybody can do that, but why the village will be so successful, and why the students and the families and the community surrounding the village, the reason why it will be so successful is because of who you are and why you're doing this, where you come from. So, Doc, will you share again your story about where you come from and how you made it to the ninth island to pull off a miracle like this?
Well, again, like I said, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I came from, I grew up in a family that there were a lot of us. So I have eight, there's eight of us together with my siblings, just my siblings, but they're my half brothers and sisters. But we grew up poor, I think, or we struggled. And there was a lot of trauma that I was exposed to or been a part of as I was growing up. I had to save, family members from suicide, or try to talk them out of it, or even have witnessed people, my family, just having a hard life and taking their lives as well. And it's not something that I want for anybody, for any family. And while I was growing up, I was bullied in high school because I was that awkward kid in high school. I mean, not even high school, I'm sorry, elementary school, growing up. And I was bullied because I was that awkward kid that was, always doing well in school, but never kind of fit in. I was never part of the popular group. And I think when somebody tells you you can't be successful and you can't do what you do because of you're kind of awkward, you're kind of weird, I took it, you could take it one of two ways, right? You could go one way or the other. And I took it like, okay, then I'll show you. And so throughout high school, I was still that awkward kid. I was still being teased, but you know what? I took it where I had to prove something to myself. And that's all that mattered to me. And, got my master's in education, and I said, I'm going to keep going. And I got my doctorate in education after people telling me that that's probably a degree that not a lot of people can get, so I proved them wrong. And I just wanted when I reflect on my life, there's always a reason for everything, whatever path that you choose to take, there's always a reason, and a consequence, right, to your choices.
Right.
And I have just a big passion to help students see that passion, or see that opportunity to thrive, even through trauma, even through the situations that you've grown up, through life, that there's always a way to get out of it and to be successful. And I'm living proof of that, and I always tell my own children, I have 6 children of my own, and they all have 6 different personalities, and they all go through their own trauma or their own challenges in life, because they're all at different stages in their life. And I always tell them, like, whatever choice you make, I will support you. And I want to make sure that that we'll always be there, but you got to own that choice, and I want to make sure that we provide a school for the community that we serve, that we will support you. We have your back. Yeah. I don't know how many times I've had teachers not have my back, or I've had adults not have my back. But as a child, I've had their back. And you know what? I just want to give back, because we are a village. We are a community. We have this saying of, in Hawaii, it's aloha, right? It's about community. It's about owning the people around you, and embracing them, regardless of where you're from, what your background is, your gender, whatever. It's just, you have to embrace each other and support one another, because we have to thrive and be able to move forward together. If not, then what's the purpose?
Yeah.
So that's where I come from, and I don't want to get too much, but that's where I come from, and that's why I'm so passionate in giving back to everyone, the people, not only in Nevada, but anyone that could benefit from this type of school.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like an incredible story of triumph coming from, a family with 8 siblings, and then having six children of your own, and then crossing waters and crossing, socioeconomic lines. You're talking about, growing up and struggling in poverty, or, and you're right. I mean, there are so many barriers for people that don't look or live like what's considered the norm, and a great way to eliminate all of those barriers is more adults just acting just like you, and relating to that, relating your own personal journeys to that, and saying, you know what, had I had a trusting adult to be there during those times, that would have helped me get through. So I'm going to give back, and I'm not only going to give back myself, but you are a part of creating a village, because it takes a village to give back to our young people. So amazing, incredible story. Thank you so much, Doc. Rachel,
yep.
will you share a little bit about where you come from? I heard you say Michigan. I know from the last chat, you're coming straight from the Sag Nasty. So all my Midwest people that are under feet of snow right now, or that are listening in, will you please give a shout out to your hometown, your roots? Share a little bit about yourself and why are you involved in something like the Village?
So I grew up in Michigan. Was born in Saginaw. Grew up there. Went to school there. And we actually started when my parents first got married. They actually lived in Carlton, but by the time they had moved, I came after the fact. But growing up, we always lived in a very diverse area. We were at the lower end of town, so as it was considered, right?
Yeah.
You had the Saginaw, and then you had the Saginaw Township. So, and so I've always grown up, around lots of different people. Always had friends, got along with everybody, like never, really thought anything of it. Didn't realize the other struggles that, some of my friends had to face.
Right.
So what really did it for me is I remember distinctly in high school, we had, there was a floor hockey game in PE. And you know how the guys are in PE about floor hockey, right? Like, it's like, it's cutthroat,
it's
right?
Serious,
It's cutthroat. It's serious. Like, if you're not giving 100%, like you're just sitting on the bench because we need to win this game. And so long story short, one team won, the other team got mad, and a little scuffle happened between two of, the main big dog players on each team. Just some talking crap back and forth and da. Well, it kind of carried out as we were walking out the hallway of PE, John back and forth. And so it ended up, we were in the hallway, they ended up stopping again, and they were kind of in front of the office, which was glass. And they were gone, it was getting a little bit more heated, they were starting to take, bigger digs and things like that. Well, long story short, 3 minutes later, the police are running in with riot shields, spraying pepper gas everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And we're just like, what's going on? It's on the news. It's just craziness. And long story short, the secretary in the office had seen the two boys, jawing back and forth. One boy was white, the other boy was black. And she called in a race riot to the police.
Gosh. Floor hockey.
So,
race riot.
Right? Had nothing to do with race at all, other than the fact that one kid was black and the other kid was white.
Yeah.
Nothing to do about that. It was all about a floor hockey game. And at that moment, it kind of dawned on me, like, why would she go there?
Right.
I didn't, get it. And I guess that's when the whole white privilege thing kind of was like, whoa,
Yeah.
Whoa, there it is. Because especially with all that going down, with the race riot, it was distinctly obvious of the kids that were getting taken down and the kids that were getting pepper sprayed. And, it just was very obvious. And I think that was the moment for me where I realized, things have to change.
Yeah.
And they only change by educating, right? And by having teachers that are educated and understand and are trained and things like this, and I'm trained in educating kids with trauma and are trained of, and I that's what I want for the Village to bring is that, to help combat some of that, because I think that education is the key, because you don't know what you don't know.
I love it.
Until you know.
Right. You know better, do better. And what I love about your story is that this is a perfect example, because I know there's a lot of people out there listening that are now aware. They've become aware of things like privilege, which is a heavy term, a heavy subject that extends far beyond just material and financial, right? I mean, you're talking about privilege of being safe in your own school, on your own school campus, and you've got people that are listening that are aware of the issues, but they may not know what steps to take or what they can do to be a part of the solution. So what I love about your story is that it's a great example of how do you become a part of the solution. Well, you're taking that moment in your life, Rachel, and it that was the birth of a vision. You know, the village, it was even before 2 years ago, right? Doc tells us, it started back on the island, and while she's saving family members and friends, and just being a part of those discussions to support life. For you, it started, in a floor hockey game and witnessing a brawl that got blown up way out of proportion. Tim, this is, you got some hard acts to follow, man. These are some
don't know if I can do
incredible stories, but I don't doubt that your experience and your passion, it creates great synergy between the three of you, being just amazing people and having this incredible this incredible vision and mission for the village. So Tim, who are
All
you?
right.
What's your story?
So as you said, what's amazing is all three of us have come from very diverse backgrounds.
Yes.
Now, mine's probably a little closer to Rachel's than Amy's by a long shot. But I grew up kind of poor middle class. Didn't know that at the time. Thought I was, But I have to tell you, I was in high school in the late '60s to early '70s. Okay, so and when you're talking south of Cleveland, Ohio, and
Ooh.
Chicago, it was a different kind of place.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were in kind of a protected space. I will say that for most of the time. But a lot of other things that I'd like to bring into is like my own children, and I've got three kids. My wife is a counselor, so I hear everything about she never gives names. She just gives basic ideas of, oh my gosh, this is going on or that's going on, and so I hear a lot of that stuff. But you would think, a father who's an educator, mom who is a counselor at a school, and actually she was even on a school board and other things. You would think that your kids would be the perfect, they're going to be absolutely at the top of the, heap. Well, not exactly.
Yeah.
My two boys both struggled in high school, and it had everything to do about culture and very little to do about the education.
Yeah.
And it was what was going on in the school, and it was all the nuances that were happening there. And they both had neither of them actually were able to graduate at high school. They both went and got GEDs later, went on to college later, went on to great, but they really did struggle. My daughter struggled some too. She kind of made it through and was able to get a degree. But what was interesting is what opened my eyes up a lot is when I went overseas, and all of a sudden, they kind of briefed us ahead and say, hey, you better be used to a lot of diversity. And I said, oh yeah. I've worked with the Mexican American groups. I've worked with the Indian. I've worked on the reservation actually for a number of years, and so I've worked with a lot of groups. They said, no. We're talking about 35 to 40 different nationalities you're going to be working with.
Wow.
Okay, so that is going to be a little different.
Yeah.
What was amazing to me, though, is how well all those kids came together with super diverse backgrounds, and from all kinds of families and family situations, from fairly poor to all the way at the very, very top end, where they came to school only in a Bentley that was chauffeured daily. So it was the whole gamut. But what was amazing is how, because of the culture that was set up in the school, how those kids all accepted every single other student in the school. There wasn't any of this little stuff bickering going on and this fighting and the other kind of things. Every student accepted every other student. And they praised their diversity and their culture and what they had to bring. And everybody worked together and they became friends. I mean, you had little Korean girls becoming friends with, Brazilian girls that are about the opposite ends of the world as far as their backgrounds. And so I know it could work,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And all about how you put together the village, how you create the culture,
Yeah.
how you create the space, and the tolerance that you have, and working directly with the students. I know it can work. I've seen it work, and we're going to put together a school where it does work.
That's awesome. Tim, I got to tell you, when you started off and you talked about your wife being a counselor, I started to kind of like hold my breath a little bit because, I'm a licensed therapist also, and I know how we are, and so I thought you were going to say, yeah, with my wife as a counselor, I've got 30 diagnoses and, like, because we're constantly assessing the situation, so you got out of there clean without making any references to life living with a counselor. So thank you for that.
Yes.
So I wanna talk more about the village and how people can find out more information about the village. How like who might be interested in the village, in terms of families that want to send their kids there, and a little bit more about the structure because I know that you've got some unique things, whether it be curriculum and trades and things like that the students will be learning. So who wants to take that one? Let's kind of shift the conversation to a little bit more about the village and what's so unique about it.
I could talk about some of the programs. So as far as unique goes, again, like Tim was saying, we want to offer a lot more programs and things like that to the students. So we will be working with Summit Learning. We want to offer project-based learning, which is where students, it's not your typical sit and get curriculum.
Right.
Just to sum it up,
Yeah.
right? It's more hands-on, more self-discovery, more teachers facilitator. Kids are discovering on their own. We also are looking at a program through Seed Impact, which allows us to assess a student's social emotional health as well as their growth throughout the year in their social emotional health.
And Rachel, before you go forward, will you define social emotional health just maybe for parents or community members that aren't familiar with it? What does that have to do with
how they feel mentally, like their motivation, their confidence, everything about you on the inside.
Yeah.
And how you feel about yourself and how you put yourself out to the community and acceptance. And so that's like social emotional in a nutshell. I mean, it's a big encompassing beast.
It is. It's very broad. And what I like about this being a part of the village is because, when we look at statistics, so I've got that side of me. I'm a nerd. I love data and I love studying, human behavior and within the context of mental health, and then ultimately, to prevent suicide, right? And when we've got our numbers for youth suicide with alarming increases, from 2019 to 2020, we saw a 90% increase in youth suicides in the state of Nevada. And we're just getting numbers in from 2020. So since the beginning of the pandemic, we've seen a 40% increase in suicides with youth, representing quite a bit of that number. So with social emotional learning, the whole learning how to be resilient with things that are going on socially, things that are going on in the environment, things that are going on at the school campus. That's so important, and I love the fact. That's why I just wanted to emphasize. I love the fact that that's integrated into your curriculum. So social emotional learning, I encourage all of the listeners to look that up and to see how that learning model and style can improve your child's resilience or your student's resilience. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're totally good.
Yeah, no, other programs that are unique to the village. I know, like when we talk about charter schools, some charter schools, they specialize in certain areas, in certain curriculum. What is the niche for the village?
So our shiny object is what we call it.
Yes.
So our shiny object, what we're looking at doing is, again, trying to offer up those skills and certifications for students to be employable right after high school.
Yes.
So what we're actually looking at partnering up with GradCO. It's GRADD.co. And what it is, long story short, is at the end of high school, a student will be able to obtain their pilot's license for a drone through the FAA. And so drone piloting.
Yeah.
And through that drone piloting, we are also, through the company Grad, we're also hooking up with them with the 3D modeling and printing. So they do a lot of works with the drones where they go and they fly a mission, surveying an area, a property, a piece of art, anything really.
Yeah.
Car accidents, they do a lot of recreating of car accidents and things like that. So they capture images of these things and then upload those to a computer, to the program, and then they're able to create the 3D models, using the 3D printer, things like that with all the details. They're using this for security systems is a big thing right now, that they're getting a lot of calls for. And then we're also, with that said, with the security piece, we're also looking at cybersecurity as well as another little niche for students, if that's something that they are interested in.
Love it, love it. And Doc, I see you shaking your head as well. What programs are you most excited about that's coming to the Village High School?
If I was in high school, I would love to have taken part of that, the drone.
Oh, yeah.
But back then, when I was in high school, that wasn't even a thing. We had pagers, and that was a thing. So I am so excited for the students who are at the Village High School, that they get this opportunity to learn about just the technology changes from to just go out there and thrive. I'm just so excited for them. I just like cybersecurity. I know that that's a big thing now that we're in this pandemic mode and everything is virtual. There's a lot of we're going to need a lot of security, in terms of with the online and internet and whatever it may be, that we're going to need people to help man that, and to provide that opportunity for students. And have them be involved in that while in high school. Like, that's an opportunity I wish I had in high school myself.
No, absolutely. You're right. It's in alignment with the curve of technology, so if for those of you who are listening, if you've got school age youth that are into gaming, that are into drones, that are into technologies, the Village High School is the place to be, right? And Tim, I want to go back to you offering a description of kind of what other unique aspects of the learning, the schedule, the location. What does that look like for our kids?
Okay, so I want to cover a few things. So in order to make all that stuff that we just talked about happen, okay, we've got to be heavily technology infused.
Yeah.
Okay. And so our plan is to have a heavy emphasis with technology. And one of the things, and it's less so now than it has been, but we want to make sure that all students have a one-to-one piece of technology that they can use. And so basically that means we're going to provide each student with a computer, okay, with some kind of Chromebook or something that's powerful enough to do the job that they need to do. But we're also not going to be one of those schools where, okay, when you leave today, put the Chromebook back into the cart and walk out the door and that's it. That's going to be their equipment, so they have it 24/7. So just like you work and you've got your phone, your computer, whenever you need it, and I do the same way, we believe that students need that same opportunity. And so we want to provide them with that equipment. So when they go home, when they sit at the coffee shop, whatever they might do, that they're going to have the tools that they need. That being said, Rachel alluded to and was talking about project-based. Basically, what we're talking about is hands-on learning, okay? And so we're going to make sure that a primary part of their education is going to be getting dirty a little bit. I mean, out there playing with the stuff, moving around, doing the things, connecting. And when I think back to even my education, what classes do I remember? What activities do I remember? I remember ones where I was involved, where I was connected, where I was doing something. Okay, I don't remember a lot of the lectures, and so we're not going to have a lot of that. We're going to change that up quite a bit. Now, that's also going to require a different kind of space. And so the traditional school with a hallway, classroom, 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 and that's Mrs. Kaplan's room, that's Mrs. Cook's room, that's Mr. Winterfeld's room. We're not planning on having that kind of structure. We're going to have a lot of open space. Teachers will work out of a space where they can get together, they can collaborate, they can talk about students, they can talk about program, they can talk about plans, and then they're going to go out and they're going to teach in different locations within the school. So there's going to be a lot of open space where students will have the materials they need, tables where they can sit down and work at. At the same time, we also recognize that some students want to work independently. And we're going to make sure that we provide that opportunity also. So if they're more of a student that says, I'd like to just do this project on my own, okay, then you can do that project on your own. And so we're going to provide a variety of those different kind of things. Does that help out a little bit there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember too from our first conversation, you were talking about for the students that are actively involved in sports, that you will have the opportunity for them to be able to go to the school where they're zoned. They'll be able to go and play for the sports team or try out for the sports team at the school that they're zoned for. Is that correct, or can you kind of clarify that?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And so they'll be able to join the sports teams that are there. But I want to also emphasize that at the same time, I mean, we believe in, the social, the emotional.
Oh, Tim, I think we lost you on audio.
Sorry, my bad. I hit the button there.
That's okay. I was reading your lips. You were saying, Bianca, you are amazing. We love the UNNI podcast, and we're going to reachinnow.com right now. That's what I read on your lips, Tim. Your lips said it.
We're reaching in now.
Yes.
No, I was just saying that as far as the social, emotional, yes, we've got those aspects, but we also recognize the intellectual and the physical. And so we want to make sure that we're covering all aspects. And that includes, activities for students. So, we've talked about the idea that they can go to their zone school and they could be on a team. But what about those students that feel like, I probably wouldn't make the high school basketball team, or I might not make the high school football team? Okay, we're going to provide some intramural activities and other kinds of things where every student can get involved. That volleyball game, that 3-point pickup game, some of those kind of things, where there's something a little bit maybe not as high a caliber, not as high as stress, but it allows students to do some activities.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our plan with that.
I love it, and I'm volunteering myself to come down and bust some of those kids up on the basketball court. Okay, I'll show up. I'll have my sweatband on, and it might get a little stressful. It might get a little stressful because stressful for me.
You got to show them out, right?
You know what? I kid you not. As soon as I started saying that, as soon as the words left my mouth, my back started to tighten up a little bit, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to take baby steps. Baby steps.
Girl, join me in kickball. Kickball's more of the caliber.
Hey,
let's do
tetherball?
kickball.
Hey, if we're being honest right now, tetherball was my jam. Bubbles, 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 slam. UNNI podcast.
That's how you hurt your face.
I wasn't hurt. I was the queen of tetherball. Loved it. Are we gonna have a tetherball?
Okay.
Are we gonna have a tetherball? Can we please
Absolutely.
have tetherball at the village?
Yes.
Okay.
We will.
That's all I need. Drones and
And we
tetherball,
will name it the Bianca.
Yeah. We'll put my name on the concrete right around there.
Yep.
But we'll say Bianca and then in quotations Bubbles, because that was my jam. Bubbles.
Yeah.
Tim, you mentioned something that I want to go back to because I happen to think that this particular area is one of the most significant when we're trying to address disparities, right? Disparities in education. And so when we're talking about an underserved community like North Las Vegas, we have to talk about the elephant in the room and talk about the disparities or the lack of equity, right, in our educational systems in North Las Vegas. So one of the most significant areas of disparities to me is mentorship because there's a lack of mentors that are efficient and that are committed to being in our students' lives and our young people's lives. So I'd like to hear from any of you. What is your plan to be able to get mentors in place for the students at the Village High School, but mentors, again, that look like them, that live like them, or live like they want to live?
Let me talk
Well, I
to.
think we can. Okay, go ahead.
I'll just jump in for a little bit, and then I know Rachel and Amy both have things that they're going to be able to say and add to my
Cool,
what I.
cool.
But one of the things that we've kind of skipped over here, and I don't think we mentioned it, was that we want to make sure that we partner with the community. And so we want to get students in community spaces, okay? Whether it's working at the parks, whether it's, whatever it might be. And so we want them in local community areas. We also, at the same time, a lot of students say, "Oh, that's great. Now you want me to go out and do this extra, time out doing that." But we're going to give you credit for that. And so we've already looked into this and we've already got this planned that there'll be credit for work life experiences. And we've got a way that we can make sure that you get credit for what you're doing those things. So that's one aspect. But again, it takes a village. We don't think that everybody at the school can provide every single aspect of that student's life, but we want to mentor them. We want to be working with them and seeing where those things are happening and where they're not. We're going to, make the connection. We're going to, find spots for them and help them connect with community, with other mentors. Because I know in my own personal life, I learned a lot outside of school, as far as, I started working when I think I was 13, and I think I've been working continuously since then. But anyway, we want to make those kind of connections. And like I said, credit for doing that, not just this is another thing you have to do to jump through a hoop, but credit for that.
So community
Yeah,
partnerships.
yeah.
All right, Doc. What?
And we also want to make sure that we're hiring teachers who share the same vision and mission as the Village High School, who embrace that and will 100% all in, be a part of that, because it takes a village. So we are definitely looking for teachers who understand that mission, who want to support that. And we are definitely looking into having training, for these teachers and providing professional development that supports, the mentorship portion of it, because you have to go through that, if you're not, you don't have a degree like yourself, and having that educational background in counseling, we as teachers have to be trained to go through that, and understand the students and hopefully they have their stories as well, these adults that can share that and understand where our students are coming from. So definitely teacher training, but again, looking for teachers who share that same mission and vision like all of us do.
Same mission, same vision, and same culture. Because I just want to share with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And that's what I'm looking for, and I'm pretty sure families, especially in the North Las Vegas area, hearing about this amazing school coming to their community, want to know that. I want to share with you real quick before we get to Rachel's response to the question. I recently did a podcast with Dr. Sheldon Jacobs. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist, local to Las Vegas, Nevada. He did this incredible memoir titled 48, where he went undercover into homelessness in Las Vegas and wrote about it. He said something so amazing during his podcast, and he was saying that as a troubled youth himself, the turning point for him, the moment that changed his life, is when he walked into a family member's home and there was a black male therapist that came in to do some treatment with the other residents there. And he looked at that man and said, I could be a therapist. Because he saw somebody that looked like him, that lived like he wanted to live, and that inspired him to change his entire life and now become the great professional and great man that he is. So that's why I think with the Village High School, you have a real opportunity going into a community like North Las Vegas to say, hey, like Tim said, we're gonna be immersed in the community. We're gonna form real partnerships and relationships with community providers to strengthen our mentorship program. Now I'm hearing from you, Doc. We're going to recruit and hire counselors and teachers that share the same vision, the same mission, that are going through cultural sensitivity training and such, but also share the same culture. They have to look like the students, in order to have that inspiration, that moment of miracle to happen. Rachel,
I mean, how do you expect, an adult to understand what a child is going through if you haven't lived it yourself? And I think that's important, and being sensitive to how we can help the student to thrive. So that's, absolutely.
For sure. And I think too, just to kind of put a cap on that too, Doc, is that there's a such thing as that's called like the gratitude tax, right? And the gratitude tax, for those that are listening that are not familiar, is this notion that our communities of color, and I'm apologizing right now for having to label a bunch of communities that deserve their own voice and identification. I apologize that I'm saying communities of color, but I'm talking about Black communities, Indigenous, Latino communities, LGBTQ+, okay? So those communities, there's something that exists called the gratitude tax, to where they receive something as amazing as the Village High School, an opportunity to go to the Village High School, and there's this expectation that you're supposed to just be grateful for the invitation, and as opposed to, no, this is equity, this is equality, this is your community, this is of the community. So how do we avoid that, and still I want to get to Rachel and to talking about mentorship, but how do we avoid making this seem like, hey, we're gifting this to the community, there should be some gratitude, and we should see a positive outcome because of that, as opposed to, no, this is of the community. Rachel, I'm sorry that I dumped all that on you.
No, you're good. Well, I was just going to add what Amy said, but I was going to say about the training and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it, is to have teachers trained, and also, like you said, have the same culture, as the students. And I think that's super huge. I think we 100% can't be fake about this, like you said, coming back, and that's like, you can't walk in and have all white teachers, right? Like, for an example, like that would be fake, right? You're coming out, you're advertising, this expectation, oh, this is for you, is it, so I think that's huge for us, is, we want to be real. We want to be that culture. We want to service the community. We want to do all of these things. We don't want to just talk about it. And we're not going to have a staff of all white teachers, and we're not going to have, all straight teachers. We're not going to have, we're going to represent our students.
And I want to be clear too, because I don't want to, I think we're toting a very fine line, in all that we're talking about, in any discussion when it comes to discussion about equity and disparities. I am not saying that hands down all the teachers have to be representative of one of the underserved communities.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. No.
I think I would be pleased if all the teachers were the best quality teachers out there, no matter what race they identify or culture they identify with. The best quality teachers at the Village High School, I think, is the route to go. I also think in order to send the message and maintain the hope or the vision that this is of the community, it has to reflect the community. So I'd like to hear, like, kind of what Doc said, is that there are efforts, and there's a lot of energy and efforts and focus into going into the North Las Vegas community and seeking out these individuals that are emerging leaders and the best quality educators that are of the community to represent at the school. I love hearing that the effort, energy, and recruitment focus is there, and whatever comes up with, whatever color and all that comes up with, we will know that's the best representations of the community. So it's a fine line, and I needed to clarify for that, for people that are maybe just listening and not looking at my nice, sweet, welcoming face on the video. Okay, so thank you for allowing me to interject that. All right, to kind of bring this home, to bring the point home, can you please tell us how, like, if I'm a parent and I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my God, I love the UNNI podcast, I love Bianca, oh my gosh, she's so amazing, and I love the village, and I want my child to go there, okay? That was my rendition of a UNNI audience member. Okay, so let's say I'm interested in my child going to the Village High School. How do I get in contact with you? How do I express some interest and intent to get there? What do I do?
Well, I'll jump in on this a little bit, and then Amy and Rachel can add into it also. We probably, pandemic-wise, it's been a little bit more difficult, I have to say that.
Sure.
But one of our main things we have right now is the Village High School, which is thevillagehs.org. And so that is our website.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to our website, there is lots of information. So if you missed some of what was here, or you need a little bit more clarification, most of that will come if you take a look at the website. But on the website, in addition to that, there's also a tab for contact. Okay, and so under the contact, there's a variety of things. One, there's a phone number. So if you want to talk to somebody in person, you can do that. And two, there's an email. If you want to send an email, you can do that. And three, there's a form where you can just, I want some information, or I want to send a message right here. So there's a variety of ways right there to do that. The other thing that's right at the top on the website, if you take a look at this and you say, wow, this looks like a great, great opportunity, there's a button to click on interested in attending. And there's a form that you fill out, and basically that kind of shows that you are interested, in having your son or daughter attend. Now, right now, what we plan on doing with the school, to be very clear and transparent on this, is this is going to be a high school, grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. By the way, it'll be somewhat ungraded within the school. We don't want stigma of, oh, I'm a ninth grader, you can't, I'm a 10. So we're going to kind of, basically students within the school will be working for certain credits to move to the next spot, and to get that diploma at the end. But right now, we're planning on opening the school with 200 or 400 students, 200 in grade 9, 200 in grade 10. Because it's fall of 2022, that means that students who are currently 7th graders and 8th graders will be able to attend our high school, okay? So we need, you just click on the link and you basically answer a few questions, give us some background, give us, and by the way, Amy's going to tell you what we're going to do when you do that, because we've got some cool things coming up as soon as you do that and you send in your interest. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you, sorry, my dog is barking here. If you are interested in attending the Village High School and filling out that letter of intent, we're going to give you a Village High School shirt.
All
That looks
right.
like this. Yeah. And also we're trying to promote our school as well. So if you share, what was it, Rachel? I think it's hashtag the Village HS. Then you can get a gift card to like Starbucks or something like that. So we're trying to
Awesome.
promote that in a sense as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. what about if I am a professional, an educator, or just another adult in the community that wants to assist with outreach? So I want to help spread the word, spread the mission, spread the vision. Would I be able to do that?
Yes, absolutely. We are looking for, you know, anyone, companies, organizations that would like to support what we do, and you can go ahead and provide a letter of support
Mm-hmm.
with that. And if you feel like you want to partner up with us as well, we can definitely give us a call or email us, and we'll definitely reach out to you and get back to you. Tim and Rachel, you need it. Is that you guys have anything to add?
I just want to also add the Village Schools organization also does have a website as well. So again, if you're interested in partnering up from a business standpoint or donating monetarily or funding a program or anything to that nature, the VSO.org is also another spot that you can also obtain any information.
Very cool. So the VSO.org is for Village Schools Organization. And then we got the VillageHS.org to be able to go, contact, submit interest and all of that. Go there right now. Get your students enrolled because spots are limited. I know when Tim said, 200 for each grade, we think hundreds. During pandemic, the language hundreds sounds like millions, right? Because I'm thinking dollars, and I'm thinking about how many dollars I have in my bank account right now, and I'm like, man, hundreds, cool. That's not a lot, you guys. That's not a lot. So spots are running out. So go there as soon as you get done listening to this podcast. Go there, get your student, enrolled, or at least show some interest so that you can kind of get locked in, right? Because after you get to 200, you're gonna have to wait like a whole another year, right? In order to possibly get your child in then. So don't wait on this. Don't wait on this opportunity. This is holy grail information. And access
and share. We need to build the village. Share.
Yes, build the village. And I also want to share with you all that I have been asked to join the school board for the Village High School, and honor something that's incredibly humbling for me. But I wanted to share that with you because I believe in it. We're not just talking about it. We're walking the walk. We're being about it. Okay, so the Village, this is legit. North Las Vegas, get ready. Fall 2022 comes the Village High School. I'm so excited for it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me again tonight. And I keep saying again, I keep saying back in the habit because the audience doesn't know, but we know that this is not the first conversation that we've had. But I love that. I love having multiple conversations. I was talking about it in the beginning of this podcast that it's so important when you're sharing your story and you're sharing yourself to practice, to keep sharing over and over and over, because each time the story gets a little bit better. Each time we get to add some nuances, and we really get to kind of just illuminate, progress, the journey, and ultimately the triumph. So this has been incredible. You guys are all amazing people, and I can see why the vision, why the mission is so strong at the Village High School. Looking forward. Are there any final remarks that you wanna shoot out there? Is there anybody in the UNNI audience that you wanna speak to directly at this moment?
Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing us this time to do this, and also how excited we are to have you as a member of the school board, because you're adding a lot, and it takes a village. And so we're super excited to have you and partner with you also at the same time.
Thank you.
Remember the Village HS, so it's thevillagehs.org.
Mm-hmm.
I want to note also, we've got a lot of resources also on that page. And so, there's resources, there's day in the life. You can learn more about the village there. But we've got a lot of stuff on bullying, on LGBTQ National Talk Line, on mental and emotional services, a lot of other stuff there available for you, and a lot of links and a lot of things that we've already started partnering with. So want to make note, go to the website, check it out, let us know. Give us a message back. If you're looking for something else or you're looking for additional information, certainly contact us. Thank you.
Very cool. Hey, and Tim, just so you know, too, when we produce this podcast and release it on our YouTube channel, I'm going to put up uh, like a screenshot of the homepage and kind of what you were talking about, too. So with your permission, we might have to cover up that handsome, it's kind of like a Matthew McConaughey, Tom Hanks, there's something there. There's this celebrity face there that I'm seeing when I look at you, Tim, every time I see you on the screen.
Thank you.
But we're gonna have to cover it up for just a moment and put up the the Village website for you, okay?
No problem.
All right, Amy, Rachel, how are you guys feeling about that?
That's good. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yes,
like I said,
thank
thank
you
you
so much.
so much
Yeah,
for
very
having us, and please join us out there. We just want to see our students succeed and
Yeah.
in a safe place and to thrive and just be who you are.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. I know me growing up, I would have loved a school like the Village. I was also an awkward kid, believe it or not. I was bullied. I had one girl, initials LB, just because if you're listening, I want you to know. You bullied me, okay? She made me learn country songs, okay? She made me learn country songs. Now, at the time, it felt like harsh punishment, okay, at the time. But now I got to say, as an adult, being able to be diverse and eclectic and bust out, Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old. See, I can do
That
that.
song makes me cry.
I know. Please don't
Take the girl.
I'm telling you right now. They love this. This is great to throw out at parties. Okay, it's great to throw out at podcasts. People love it. So LB, I was bullied, yes, but I'm also grateful for the experience. I'm glad that I was able to survive that and end up where I am today to be able to share. So thank you again for joining me on the podcast, and we'll talk soon, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thank
The
you.
Village.
thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. You guys have a great night.